It was no more than 30 minutes ago we were saying, how much can Mumbai Indians get? Do they have enough? They've lost wickets. Pollard has come. Pollard has gone. Who's it going to be? The familiar story happened yet again. They have a target. They have a very specific target of 190 plus in Abu Dhabi, no matter what the opposition, and they've done it yet again. Hardik Pandya, the finisher, 60 of 21 deliveries with 7 sixes. Surya Kumar Yadav, 40 of 26 seems a distant memory, because if you were sitting at the ground watching it, wherever you were watching it, you would just remember those shots from Hardik Pandya. Absolute mayhem. They did it last time against Rajasthan. They've done it again, batting first for the 5th time at Abu Dhabi. 190 crossed by the same team. Shaun Pollock, Lisa Sthalekar, 4th time, I beg your pardon, not the 5th. It just seems like the 5th time. The first question I have to come to, yes, it's good batting, but my memory serves me right, from those 7 sixes, at least 6 of them were from deliveries that shouldn't have been bowled.
Yeah, for sure. And we've said it before. I think in this RPL, when you've got your international bowlers in your team, the experience, they've got Jofra Archer, and he's head and shoulders above most in the tournament. But you can see the massive gap between when he's at the crease and the rest of the guys are there. And I think the big thing for Rajasthan is you would think, or you would have thought, that they would have been getting overs from Ben Stokes. And I wonder why it is. I mean, there must be an injury or something along those lines. But he does need to give them an extra 2 overs or so, just to help with the balance. To go in with 5 bowlers and have only one of those with real international experience is always going to be a challenge. But we talked about Mumbai. I thought Rajasthan were lucky in the middle of the period there. Saurabh Trivedi and Surya Kumar, and even Hardik Pandya, when he first got to the crease, it was a little gap where they built some pressure, and in many ways Mumbai weren't going anywhere. I mean, have a look at that run rate there, from 11 to 15, only 5.4. If they had just finished off strong, they had a real potential to win this game. But now the damage is done. 79 for 1 in the last 4 overs. You don't really come back from those. So disappointing.
Certainly disappointing. And, there was that one stroke that we remember, it was like a helicopter shot, but on the offside, went to long off, Lisa. But apart from that, and that wasn't the worst delivery in the world. Apart from that, there were full tosses, there was short, wide deliveries. He was just slapping it over point for 6. So it was help yourself stuff.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it does take some skill to hit a low full toss and still get it over the boundary, and with ease. So these guys have obviously worked really hard on being able to execute that skill. I think Rajasthan, I mean, Tewatia dropped 2 chances. There was a bit of sloppy fielding. Steve Smith let one go through, a few others, a lot of bobbles, singles being taken. So they just weren't as sharp as they could have been in the field. Then we spoke about that fight back by Rajasthan, 3 for 11, really with Jofra Archer go gadget arm, off he goes and plucks it out of the air. But really Mumbai is one of the only teams that consistently, and we've said this before on the show, their engine room is in that middle to lower order, and they blow teams off the park with that.
Yeah, we referred to that. We had an automobile-themed show once, and we were talking about engines in the front, engines at the back, and we concluded that. But just a few number to throw at you, Shaun. Average first innings score in Abu Dhabi, Mumbai, 187. Other teams, 151. It's the same strip. Same thing.
Yeah, it's obviously just a ground they really feel comfortable playing it. And, it is one of those grounds where the ball just comes on enough. And with that hitting ability that they have at the back end, I mean, I think Rajasthan can be really happy that Pollard got out as well, because if Pandya and Pollard had been there at the crease at the same time, it could have been 200 and something. And that's what makes them such a well-balanced side. They've got the hitting power up front. You have Sharma and de Kock on their day in those first 6. They can almost take a game away from you. But if they don't do it, you've always got Pollard and Pandya, and even the other Pandya, walking to the crease with the potential to take the game away from you in the last 4 or 5 overs. So that's what makes them such a menacing unit.
Yeah, I know I was being a little harsh on him. Lisa, you were right about having the ability to hit a good ball or a bad ball. You need to dispatch it. Quick word on Hardik Pandya. Hasn't exactly had an explosive season so far. Not bowling, which means he's sort of one-dimensional in that sense. All the more needs to contribute with bat in hand. But today will do a world of difference to his own confidence.
Yeah, and you could see the excitement in the dugout when he got the half century. Kyron Pollard, who literally is the gang leader, he walks around, and the other Pandya brothers, they just follow him like puppy dogs. That he was so ecstatic, so happy for him, because I'm sure it must be hard after a back injury not being able to contribute with the ball. He certainly has done it in the field, but to be able to spend a bit more time out in the middle and to kind of produce stats like that, he's such a small guy, but he has some firepower, doesn't he? Just, I don't know, it's his bat swing, his wrists are just very good. It's very good to watch.
Yeah, it certainly is. But, again, the difference between the bowlers, not just the potential, but once you look back at the scorecard, you can see in the last few overs, there was 18 and 20 that produced over 20 runs. And in between, Jofra again came up with a class over 27 each, 54 in those 2 overs. And then Jofra Archer gave nothing in his over 3.
Yeah, I think even his over before was a touch unlucky. There was an inside edge, and then there was a bit of a top edge 6. So, he is class, and we've seen it throughout this tournament. But you do say, he needs support, and that is one of the prime reasons. Yes, the batting hasn't fired for Rajasthan Royals, but it's one of the prime reasons why they're sitting at the bottom of the table. 15 for Rajput. You can't just go with an inexperienced attack like it. You cannot go with 5 options because someone will be put under pressure. Yeah. Ben Stokes has to bowl the other 2 overs at least, just to give them options. I mean, their spinners, I thought, held their own and did pretty well in the circumstances. Because, if they had someone like a Pollard or that at the crease, they could have also disappeared. But to go with 5 when 4 of them are relatively inexperienced, it's not going to work.
And just to kind of highlight that, Shaun, I was just going to say that Archer, I think before the game or during the middle of the game, they threw up a stat. So Archer's bowled 43 overs, 0.4, 15 wickets at an economy of 6.6. The other seamers, 94 overs, 16 wickets at 10.29. You just see the difference. So you're absolutely right. They would have been banking on Stokes bowling a couple of overs to get them through. They haven't had that. And whilst, Tyagi is young and exciting and is certainly a prospect, you need some other experience in there just to help out Archer.
And when they go to the auction and they purchase these people, it's because of the all-rounders go for the massive amount of money. Because why? Because they know they're going to get overs and they know they're going to get runs. So when one of the disciplines is taken away, it really does leave a team in the lurch, particularly your lesser units who haven't got the big purse to go and purchase and have surplus players sitting around. When you talk about Royals, they almost bank on 5 players. They're going to rely on those guys to do the job. If one doesn't play, the other one steps in. But to have one of your big players like Stokes not being able to bowl, it just messes up the balance too much.
It does. And Mumbai have addressed that. They knew from the beginning that Hardik Pandya would be there purely as a batsman, and they were happy with that. We saw today the kind of impact he can have, and they still got bowling options to go with, led by someone like Kyron Pollard, the captain himself, captain for the day at least. But the guys who set it up, we needed a platform for Hardik Pandya to launch from. And Ishan Kishan and Surya Kumar Yadav, 83 of 59. As I said, you look at these figures right now in context of what Hardik's done, you're like, yeah, okay, fine. But they really did set it up.
Yeah, they did a good job, but in all honesty, it could have been a lot better. Ishan Kishan at one stage was just swinging at everything and hardly middling anything for probably his last 10 deliveries that he faced. And then Sadaf came to the crease and also took his time. You've got to think that with that bowling lineup, if Quinton and a Rohit Sharma example had been there for the 8 or 10 overs, sure, that total would have taken on new heights and would have taken some new chasing.
But you've got to allow, say, an Ishan Kishan, Saurabh Tiwari. That's kind of how they bat. In an ideal scenario, as Shaun said, if a Rohit and Quinton de Kock are going well, you know how sweetly they middle the ball and the swivel pulls of Quinton de Kock. It didn't happen, but they still found a way to get that platform and get the runs in the end.
They did, and that's why Mumbai is sitting pretty up the top of the table because they have been able to have guys that step up. Ishan Kishan, it's almost like he's got all of the skills, hasn't he? He can play 360 degrees. Sometimes he just needs to rein it in, needs to know when to pull out a certain shot and when not to. That will be his development. I am sure coaching staff get frustrated with the amount of talent that he uses, but he's shown us bits and pieces, and you just want him to just sometimes put your head down, get up the other end, assess the situations, and then you can go big again. But he seems to just play the one way, isn't it? Foot on the throttle the whole time.
And Rajasthan's prospects don't look very bright, not because we're trying to play anyone down, but two things. One, you've got a big score on the board, but B, just look at that bowling lineup that Kieron Pollard has at his disposal. Even if he'd got 150 on the board, he'd tell himself, look, I've got Bolt, I've got Bumrah, I've got Pattinson, then I've got Krunal Pandya, and Rahul Chahar has been outstanding, and I can turn to myself. But with that extra insurance of runs, Rajasthan looking at a tall order.
Yeah, they are, because the first 6 overs, you'll have class bowlers coming in, and their 3 main batsmen or 4 main batsmen will have to take risks if they're going to chase that down. That's why they'll be so disappointed, because the first 14 overs basically went according to plan, and in many ways couldn't have gone much better for them. And then that finish has just almost taken the wind from under their sails. We know that those 4 guys in their side, the 4 batting unit, can definitely play brilliantly at times, but we haven't really seen them gel as a 4 unit throughout this campaign so far. Maybe this is the night, but they are going to have their work cut out, because we mentioned the class of those international bowlers from Mumbai.
Yeah, early on, they showed some potential for the big runs, but they had that extra factor of Sanju Samson looking like the Sanju Samson of old. And we pointed out a pattern. He starts brilliantly in a season and then goes down. Unfortunately, much as we would have loved it to change, it happened again.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with him. He comes out of the blocks really quickly. Then everyone's talking about Indian selection with him because he's such a classical batsman, so pretty to watch out in the middle. I don't know whether those kind of discussions really get to him, but it's a shame because Rajasthan need more Indian domestic players to contribute with the bat, and they just haven't had that. They rely too heavily on their internationals, and that's why it's very hard to find room for even an O'Shane Thomas or another bowler to potentially help out Archer, because you're not going to drop Smith, you're not going to drop Butler, you're not going to drop Stokes, and you're definitely not dropping Archer. So that's the conundrum that they have at the moment. But hopefully, Smith, we know he's a class test batsman. He's coming up against quality test bowlers. Maybe he just needs to think test cricket to get him back into the groove.
All right, just one thing remains. As usual, my 11 Circle Badge of Honor has not yet been claimed. Shaun, you got it in the first game, but after 2 tries. This time around, I came mighty close with 182. Just that one extra hit from Hardik Pandya took it away. So another chance. This time, Shaun Pollock, you can go first. Rajasthan need to come hard.
Yeah, they got to go hard, and they got to come up hard up front. So I'm going for 49 in the first 6.
49.
43.
Oh dear, 49, 43. The 40s have pretty much been taken. It's not fair for me to get 40s again. They want to probably get in the 50s. And why not? Why not? I'll just sneak into 52. Come on. You've got to get it. You've got to at least make a match of this. If Mumbai hit at the back end, come on, these guys have to be like a traditional car with the engine in front. Ben Stokes, Robin Uthappa, let Butler come up in front along with Steve Smith, and at least give me one My 11 Circle Badge of Honor. No more explanation. Sorry, it's not an essay. I remember what Shaun told me. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I just get carried away. I will not say it anymore. But what it means is that they've got some good bowling to contend with. So lots to talk about. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live will be back at the end with a little bit of a discussion in the 10th over. Cricbuzz Combox. We'll see you soon.